Hi, Mike.
Setco for SpaceX.
What were you going to say in
What
the main...
for what?
Setco.
Setco? Why?
Space Exploration Technologies Corporation.
Corporation.
Setco.
Welcome to Setco.
I had to take you to Mars.
Just saying.
All right.
Not saying. Just saying.
Are you saying or are you saying? So...
Not.
That was an okay show. It wasn't our best, wasn't our worst. It was okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. I forgot, to be totally fair, I forgot a lot about the Space Launch System history anyway, so that works for me.
So, we should do an open really quick. What do we want to do here? Actually, let's just do Blue Origin announcement, NASA delays in Virgin. Whatever you want to say about Virgin Galactic, Mike.
Okay.
All right, you guys ready?
Sure.
Here we go. This is number one. Coming up, Blue Origin announcement.
NASA delays.
And Virgin Galactic has a more powerful Launcher 1.
Plus, we're going to be talking about the Space Launch System, its history, and its future. Stay tuned. Tomorrow begins right now. Now.
No.
Now.
No.
Now.
You have something stuck in your mouth?
Whatever.
Who, me?
That's
all
what
of
she
that.
said.
No.
No.
Terrible, Christopher Walken.
Do we want to do that again, or is it all right?
Smasher, Setco, getting your ass to Mars. I think get your ass to Mars is a Aldrin thing, and I don't think that Setco can keep it or take it.
Setco. Coing your set.
Maybe do it just one more time and you can pick whichever one you like better.
All right, here we go. Here's take two. Here we go. Coming up, Blue Origin announcements.
NASA delays.
And Virgin Galactic has a more powerful Launcher 1.
Plus, we're going to be talking about the depressing history of canceled projects and congressional jobs programs at NASA. Stay tuned. Tomorrow begins right now. Sorry, I was reading what Hans wrote in the chat room. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, he did.
It was word for word. Oh my God, this is awesome. I had to look at the tablet so I could read it. This is only response. Oh, jeez. All right, this is number 3 because we're not using that. Coming up, Blue Origin announcements.
NASA announces delays.
And Virgin Galactic announces a more powerful Launcher 1.
Plus, we'll be talking about the history of the space launch systems known as the Sistery now.
Space launch system?
It's space and
words
history
themselves.
combined into
What
one
did you
word.
say?
It's
Right,
Sistery.
right
Right now.
I think he's just having a stroke.
How are your arms? How are your arms? Strengthening your arms?
It's sting, right up in here. Those oldie timey band. Right up in here, you see? All right, number 4. Coming up, Blue Origin announcements.
NASA announces delays.
And Virgin Galactic announces a more powerful Launcher 1.
Plus, we're going to be talking about the Space Launch System and where it came from. Of course, where it's going to be going. Stay tuned. Tomorrow begins right now. I got crazy eyes on that one. Do it in pirate speak, they said. All right.
Oh, it is National Talk Like a Pirate Day.
Is it really?
Yes.
All right. All right.
How do I say that with NASA delays? How do I say that in pirates?
NASA delays.
Arr.
Dollars.
NASA dollars?
Dollars.
Belay that, belay that.
NASA belays.
NASA belays.
Sorry. Okay,
All right.
composure. I got it. Whew.
Coming up on National Pirates Day, Blue Origin and NARS.
NASA belays.
No, what you didn't
What?
do is right.
What is wrong with you?
You have,
Oh my God.
you have to wait a beat.
No, I
in
don't want
between
to.
each one,
Okay,
and you
ready?
did it
Are you
over
ready
me.
now?
All right, this is 5. Ready? Coming up on National Pirates Day, Blue Origin and NARS.
NASA belays.
And Virgin Galactic has a more powerful cannon for their launcher one.
Plus, we'll be talking about the Space Launch System, where it came from, and where it's going to be going. Stay tuned. Tomorrow begins right now.
National Talk Like a Pirate Day, not National Pirate Day.
Number 6.
Good effing things.
Number 6.
Ah!
All right. Coming up on National Talk Like a Pirate Day, Blue Origin announcements.
NASA belays, matey.
And Virgin Galactic has a more powerful cannon for their launcher one.
Plus, we're going to be talking about the Space Launch System, where it came from, and where it's to be going. Stay tuned. Tomorrow begins right now. You like that one?
Yes.
I got an O for the love of from Dutta, which means that one must have been epic.
Good God. It's International Talk Like a Pirate. No. Dischargers of Unit 1. That's it. I'm not doing that again. Voiceover. Like I'm not doing it.
Yeah, we should all say R at the end. You didn't say R at the end.
Because.
That's your reason?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Carrie Ann's the straight man. Remember?
Always. I always. You never.
Landlubber system. The Senate landlubber system. Oh.
Good show. So, my last space pod talked about the basic payloads, but in the next one, I did want to talk about some of the other payloads that have been coming forward that have actually gotten me excited. Like, regardless of whether or not the Space Launch System launches once and never flies again, I think a lot of these different payloads ideas might actually become reality. So, I'm glad that finally there's some good ideas for that, and that at least one part of this whole Space Launch System program is showing some innovative stuff. So, for example, the Europa Clipper mission. That's a really cool idea that is going to happen. Money is being spent on it, reaching out to the European Space Agency to have them possibly have another probe or a lander to go along with it. You know, lots of really cool ideas. There's this, a new interstellar mission idea that's kind of like an upgraded Voyager type of mission that is coming forward. There's lots of good ideas, and I'm going to talk about as many of those as I can in depth for my next space pod without making it too long. May even turn into a 3-part video. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that sounds awesome. I'm excited. Hey, can you do me a favor when we're done with the show?
Yeah.
Can you upload Jared's space pod from yesterday? I didn't have time to do it.
Oh, I completely forgot.
Yeah,
I did too. In like 2 weeks.
I did 2 until today before the show, and I went, oh, I didn't do that either. But he has the information. He said he's going to do it on his own starting next week, so that'll be good. Yeah. Also, you should have the information too. Once all of our SpacePod correspondents are doing their own, I'm going to have you also start publishing it to S3 and the TMRO website so that we can get it on Apple TV and Roku as well.
Okay.
So you should have all the login information for the rest of it and all that other fun jazz.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I do have the login information. I just haven't done it yet.
Yep. We don't need to do it for this one, for this Friday one, but starting this next Monday, I'd like everything to be consistently on Roku, iTunes, YouTube, all the weird fun things. And it'll be easier if you're not doing everyone's, if you're just doing your own. I think that would be nicer. Although I have a nagging suspicion Jared's going to need help when he first, because you look at that, it doesn't look too terrible, but it does take some work the first couple times you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So you said something about how we look to NASA as being the innovative one, and they if we just give them money and they'll just do things and it'll be awesome, and they make their own decisions, and how because NASA, this is the organization that put people on the moon and blah blah blah. Sure, except that. And the thing is that points were made afterwards that sort of negate this point that I'm about to make, but it's still relatively valid in that the group of people who worked at NASA at the time that we put people on the moon are to the point where most of them are retired.
Or dead.
Yes. So while NASA was the organization that put people on the moon, that doesn't mean that they still are the organization that can do that again.
So I'll agree and disagree, because an organization is its people, right? But I'll disagree in that they also do have the infrastructure and kind of the culture necessary to make that go.
Do they have the culture? You can't say that for sure.
Well,
You
they
don't
had
know
the
that
culture.
for
They
sure.
had the culture
They
once.
had the culture, and that doesn't mean that it necessarily got passed on, because you know how that sort of enthusiasm. Can I speak to something from work?
Mute our mics for a second.
Yep.
While they're muting their mics, I think that the whole culture depends on which program it is and which NASA center it is as to how optimistic or how things actually are. So there are a lot of people working on space launch program. Not in every office, but some who don't like it and some who really do. But there's other programs where it looks like they're having the time of their lives and geeking out on some of the really awesome stuff that a program's doing. So I just think it depends on which program, which NASA center.
Yeah, JPL is a great example of that, right? You look at them and they're young, they're innovative, they're doing just incredible things with not a lot, and yeah.
There's certainly a need for the kind of atmosphere where people can be free to innovate. I'm just musing, so I'm not even looking at the camera.
Muse for us.
There needs to be an atmosphere where people can feel free to innovate, and I think nowadays there is a large portion of NASA that is restricted in that respect. And I've heard it from multiple JPLers or people in other NASA centers where they have to adhere to NASA guidelines, which can limit their ability, NASA as an entity, to be able to do what they need to do in order to be able to get the job done. However, if they were given that task, I think that sort of innovation is there ripe for the picking if it is able to be freely harvested.
Right, but I guess that's my point, is that, yeah, it might have been there at some point, and it could still be there in theory.
Yes.
The problem is that it's been so flippin' long that eventually, when the whole mood changed, when the whole culture changed, you then have a tendency to hire people that fit this new culture, not the old culture, because you can't fit a square peg in a round hole, right? So then eventually you start hiring round pegs to fit in the round holes. And then when you say, hey, round peg, you could be in a square hole if you want to, that may or may not actually happen, right? It may or may not be able to happen. And it's going to take a whole nother shift then to go back to, if you will, that kind of culture, that kind of thinking, that kind of feeling about things.
But I don't think that everybody in the organization.
No, I mean, the chances of it being everybody, no, that's ridiculous, absolutely.
Right. So you just need a couple of key players, a couple of people to stand up and say, well, I can fit in a square peg.
Sure, but again, you see what I'm saying, though,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It's a gigantic organization, and at this point, it's been so many years where that has just sort of been, the creativity, to a certain extent, has basically been stuffed, that you need the creative people or those leaders to be in those leadership positions. Because if some intern has a really fantastic idea, they may or may not be able to make it happen because of their position in that company as well.
Yeah.
So the thought I had is maybe NASA's not the right organization then? Maybe DARPA is. Well, DARPA has a good chunk of money, and they don't have a ton of people breathing down their throats, and failure is an option.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
maybe the future of humans in space isn't from NASA, it's from DARPA. I mean, and look, they're even sending out contracts to, or prize money, I don't know how to word that, to organizations like Maston to do some pretty innovative stuff that could potentially forever change how humans get into space. So, I mean, maybe we want to look longingly and lovingly at NASA because of the Apollo program, but really we're looking in the wrong direction, and the future is DARPA, not NASA. Maybe. I'm just throwing that out there.
That's what I like about some of the small programs at NASA, like EagleWorks, for example. That one most famous recently for the whole EM drive that still isn't proven yet, but you know, it's programs like that where there's lots of really cool ideas. There's the whole Next Step program, which has really cool ideas for CubeSats and landers and secondary payloads and lots of really cool stuff, you know. So there are programs like that where they are doing that, but you know, it's just like we're saying, it can't be that way for the entire agency when they have these mandates.
Yeah, but I don't think it needs to be that way for the entire agency. I just think it needs to be that way for a couple of key players. You can still do planetary research. You can still do robotic research, but you have a segment of NASA that is charged with, hey, we need to get humans to, you know, low Earth orbit. And maybe a different one that's charged with, we need to get humans to the moon or humans to Mars. So the type of people that will enter those programs and that will migrate towards that kind of work are the ones that maybe have ideas or have a solid understanding of how we should do it. And okay, fine, not everybody in there has to be an innovator. You're going to have some Indians to be able to carry out the will of the chief, but that doesn't mean that, you know, the entire organization doesn't have to have the entire organization of NASA doesn't have to have that mentality. Just the section that's working on, hey, coming up with ideas for doing this.
We need to start the TMRO space program.
Yes, we do.
Who's in? All right, we're gonna build. What are we building?
Total Mecha Rockets. What does the O stand for?
Where's Vax? We should build. What's it called? Sea Dragon.
Sea Dragon.
Sea Dragon. She likes this idea. You can tell. She's all
know what?
in. All in.
We should team up. We should team up with Copenhagen Suborbitals and turn their little mini tow sub that they have into a little miniature Sea Dragon. Get things started.
Space Mike, I hate to tell you, but a miniature Sea Dragon is still a giant rocket. Actually, if I thought for a second that the timing was right to create a crowd-funded space program, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I know.
But as we have discussed before, the timing is not right. I do not believe that you can.
You might be able to get a flight out of it, but it wouldn't be sustainable.
No, I don't think you can even get a flight out of it. I'd be very surprised if you could even do that. Have I ever launched any hobby rockets? As a kid, I did. I remember going out to the parks, the Forest Hills, the back end of Forest Hills Elementary School? Yeah, it was Forest Hills. Dad Dog, it was Forest Hills that we went to, right? And we'd shoot off those little hobby rockets. I'm pretty sure it was Forest Hills. And then I seem to remember doing something similar. The family had kind of a farm area, and there was a place across the street that we would do that from, or at least I would do that from.
Dada has.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, he just goes right outside over here, just fires.
Dada has.
They're not supposed to know. Yeah, it was so used to go out with Dad Dog and fire off rockets.
Jared has.
I'm sure Jared has as well. Mike,
I have a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. I did things that I probably wasn't supposed to do, though.
Who doesn't? I mean, those are the fun things.
Yeah. I was trying to make multi-stage rockets out of the hobby sizes, because the multi-stage rockets that they have is like the same grain, same diameter, but like the booster stage, the first stage is a really small version of it, and then the upper stage is like, you know, a foot-long version of it instead of a little 6-inch version of it. So I was just like, no, I need the next diameter size, and I need a longer one, not just this tiny little booster stage that's only going to get me 100 feet up, depending on how much crap I put on there. So, I got like a bunch of the really small ones. I think they were the N engines. Gosh, I can't remember what the size were. This was like 5 years ago that I tried this, and I pretty much got those really big cardboard that they put like that they have saran wrap on. I grabbed a couple of those and cut them and stuffed a whole bunch of those small ones in there. And it worked pretty good for a little while, and then something blew up after a while. So I was just like, I had no idea what I was doing on that. So I probably should like do my research before I attempt something like this again.
I don't think you had an N-sized
No, you did
N-sized
not.
motor. I would say maybe
An A,
B.
B, C, D, maybe an E.
H1 is the biggest, but I forget what the smallest one is. Does it start at A and go?
It starts at A, yeah. Commercially
Okay, I
commercially
forget.
available, you can get A through E over the counter.
I gotta believe an N would be like this.
About 4 to 5 inches in diameter and like 5 or 6 feet long.
Yeah. All right, so like that.
Yeah.
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 Of course, I was buying them in like a crappy hobby store, and there was like a couple of knockoff brands, and they didn't have the same classifications on them. So,
This is classified as 2247.
oh man, I would really like to do a test just for fun to like maybe team up with JP Aerospace or something like that, and have like a really lightweight platform that you could have like towed up by several helium balloons, and then have like some sort of mechanism in the middle where you could launch an H-class rocket out of, and just see how well it does starting off at like 50 to 70,000 feet. How much more of a distance is that going to be able to perform starting at that level of the atmosphere instead of at sea level or whatever it is you're launching. And my question is with hobby rockets, can you put up something the size of a CubeSat, or even like those small like Pong Sats, those cute Pong Sats that JP Aerospace does? Like, how cool would that be if you could actually get those into space for less than like $10,000? That would be awesome.
Don't think that would actually work, Mike.
With an H-class,
H class? No, that would not work.
starting off at like 70,000 feet.
Nope.
I'm not talking about something into orbit. I'm just talking about like, can we get past the Kármán line?
How do you ignite it? Because there's no air up there.
Good point.
You could bring some liquid oxygen with you and make it an oxygen-rich combustion event.
That's
I
where
have a
things start.
feeling it will go outward instead of upward, though.
Yes.
I'm picturing how that would actually end up, and it would be epic, just not the way you want it to be. Oh my goodness. Dada, Destroyer of Dreams. Actually, I think you should. That's your new screen name, Destroyer of Dreams.
That's one of those things that everybody just kind of knows.
That you're the Destroyer of Dreams.
That I am the destroyer of dreams.
No, I think so. I don't think the time is right now for a crowdfunded space program. I think the closest we'll get to that is Copenhagen suborbitals, which would be kind of piecemealing it here and there and kind of donations from users. The space program won't be really. I do think someday there will be a crowdfunded space program. I think it may even happen in our lifetime, but I think it will be more of a Patreon-like campaign than it will be Kickstarter, in that it will be kind of a recurring thing. I thought about this a lot. I've actually thought, man, this would be really cool, because then.
Why isn't this on your Slack then?
Okay, yeah, I should add this to Slack. So for those who don't know, we have a Slack channel for our Premier members. So if you're contributing $10 or more, you're part of the Slack Citizens channel, and all the crazy stuff that goes through my head ends up in there. You also get early access to like a show rundown as soon as the rundown's done.
That's also why Carrie Ann doesn't do anything on Slack, because
She's already in your head.
that scares me.
Yes, but then you know the crazy stuff I'm planning.
I already know the crazy stuff you're planning.
Do you though?
Oh my God, we're gonna get a divorce if I hit the Slack channel.
Yeah. So the Planetary Society funded their solar sailor, which is true, but that's not a space program. That's a single item. I'm talking about
Right.
funding an entire space program. Like, the whole freaking thing. Like basically funding NASA through crowdsourcing, but you don't need as much money as NASA because you're going to get some efficiency gains from simply not being the government. But you still need, I think, a lot. Yeah, and it's super cool, but it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. And I think we'll continue to see spacecraft and like space projects funded through Kickstarter or whatever the project may be. Arkid is another one that was funded through a Kickstarter campaign. Super successful, super cool, super awesome, but again, not an entire space program.
Right, planetary resources.
Yeah, planetary resources. Yep. So, yeah.
Meanwhile, Golden Spike was not funded.
Yep. I just have to befriend some billionaires. Yeah, no, the timing's not right. Although one thing I do think would be fun is, I think we can grow tomorrow to be bigger and cooler and like actually go and cover launches. All right, you're gonna dip into my brain for a second here. I think there is a market for live launch coverage. I think there's also a market for kind of that like I want to be there in person thing, where people can kind of show up and just experience the rocket launch, or if you can't be there in person, watch them all online, be it crewed or uncrewed or whatever it may be. I'm considering ideas like floating weather balloons and attaching cameras to them to get a really good long range live view of rocket launches. I think that'd be a really great. I mean, because you just see this little dot in the distance kind of arcing up. I think that'd be a great view. And then actually getting cameras linked to each launch pad and producing our own show around launches themselves and actually making a big, huge production out of all these different launches. I think that'd be, yeah, exactly. TMRO at a Soyuz launch, right? That'd be cool. Tomorrow at an Atlas launch or a Delta launch or Soyuz or an Ariane 5 or whatever it may be, covering those live in real time. Again, I don't think the timing is right for this project either, but I think that will happen a lot sooner than a crowd-funded space program. Balloons would not violate the airspace of the launch because they can be outside of the launch window. So you take it like 25 miles out or 30 miles out or 50 miles out, and you still get a pretty good shot of the vehicle. You don't put it inside of the launch area. And actually, you can even get, assuming you're going with the spin of the Earth, your launch window. What am I trying to say? It's not a circle around the vehicle. It's kind of the vehicle's not in the middle of the circle. It's kind of near you kind of offset it a little bit, right?
Right.
It's not actually a circle. It's more of like a
Ellipse.
cone. Kind of an ellipse. And so you kind of do it closer to the side of closer where the vehicle's flying away from. Whoosh, 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 whoosh.
Stop writing, my God, no.
All right, so there we go. Are we winding down? Did I kill the conversation? Is that what I did?
I think you guys would enjoy going to a launch once.
I've been to a launch.
Model
love to
rocket,
go to
model
a
rocket
bike
launch.
launch.
Sorry,
I used to launch my own model rockets.
bigger ones.
No.
Yeah.
Let's hear. I launched like a double A.
A double A. A half A, you mean?
A double A. I'd take two of them, tape them together.
That's a B.
So you had an A rocket and you put a AA battery on the top of it. That was
Double
his
A
payload.
battery, yeah. All right.
Well,
Yeah, I think that's it. I think we've wound down. I think the conversation has legitimately killed itself. It's just,
All right, bye.
done is done. Done is done. No, I think we're done. All right. Actually, hit the button again. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you in a week. Thank you, Space Mike. Bye.
you're welcome. Bye, guys.